Hello, hello. Well, come on in. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon time zones, wherever you guys are at. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm your slime in a jar. Oh, slimy. Yeah, I do apologize for earlier on this morning because I couldn't make it to um Warframe with Ash just because a lot of shit has happened as of recent. Mental took a toll on me, but here we are, and the the wifey here would help me recover my mental a lot, so I cannot thank them enough for it. So yeah, enough dilly dallying wherever the thing is, and just go ding. Yeah, words I can.
Ah, we're live.
And let me do this for you. Which we were at blackout last time.
To switch my oh god, I need to switch my windows. Hold on,
Take your time. Take your
they're
time.
in the wrong spot. Okay, okay, I'm good.
Okay, and the last thing that we left off on was this is
This
strange.
is strange. Is any of this for real or not?
That single thought has graced my mind a countless number of times since my life here began. It feels like an easy way to discard a troubling question, as if simple labeling something with these three words will make it go away, or, at least, not worth thinking about any further. My life before my heart attack feels more blurry every time. I try to remember it, and my mind struggles to keep it up with all the events suddenly happening around me since. I heard somewhere that this is what it feels like to be left stranded in a country with only the most basic understanding of the local language. Indeed, when I think about it, that seems a marvelously adept analogy for what's happened to me. But such situations are also supposed to make you very capable in that language very fast, as you're forced to learn it in order to survive. Put another way, the situation becomes sink or swim. I wonder if I've really managed to swim after all this time. The exams are stressing me out a lot, even though they finally coming to an end. But I have to but I have remained in Metal's favor, and I have some sort of direction for my future. But I keep using that stupid, meaningless phrase. This is strange. It really is amazing how fast one comes to accept being surrounded by people with sometimes incredibly jarring disabilities and conditions. So much so that I really wonder, why I feel so much like a foreigner. It certainly isn't a lack for socializing or friends. I've come to know most of my classmates on first name terms and know a few others around the school, whether they're missing an arm or a leg. The students here are just like anyone else of their age. Ugh. I can navigate the halls that I once lost myself in with an ease I not expected to have ever have, thanks to the school's logical layout, and can engage my teachers in comfortable discussions. I swirl around gently the tea in my cup. The reflected image of my face becomes distorted by the moving liquid. This is strange. I used to hate drinking tea. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Familiar sound of china rattling from the tea cup touching An accompanying saucer rings out.
Is something the matter?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Take a long sip of the tea in front of me, as the girls do, just whirling away the time in Lily's room, sipping tea and with her and Hanako. It feels familiar, almost nostalgic. So, how's your work in the newspaper club going, Hanako?
I want to know too. It sounds like it would be quite interesting.
Hanako's face turns down at the attention placed upon her, though her smile belies the fact that she genuinely likes being the center of interest for the two of us.
It's good. I think I'm getting better at it. Naomi and a couple of her friends handle most of the jobs, getting stories and stuff. I just do the computer things like putting the stories together and getting it printed. It's nice since I can sit and concentrate.
I see. Lily's low tech nature isn't shared by Hanako's. While sitting in a room compiling other people's newspaper articles into documents doesn't strike me as overly outgoing. It is heartening to see her widening her circle of friends. Baby steps, I guess. It's probably a bit much to be expecting her to become a uh, socialite like Lily.
How are you finding Naomi? I've heard she can be quite troublesome at times.
And Lily's going into her motherly mode over Hanako, letting go of her in something she had to learn. Hanako scratches her cheek to get on her answer.
Naomi's nice. She's a bit loud sometimes and a bit tiring, but she's really helpful. Her friends are nice too. That's wonderful to hear, Hanako. I'm glad you've found a source of such enjoyment.
Lily's smile is warm and genuine, but I can sense a touch of wistfulness to it as well. Hanako seems to miss that entirely, but I don't think for a second that I'm imagining it. I suppose it's because I've slowly become to pay more and more attention to everything going on around me. With things seemingly happening faster and faster, it feels like I'll miss something if I'm not as observant as possible. With the exams, a newfound love life, trying to fit in some studying regarding my options for college and university, and my heart condition applying the brakes on everything at irritatingly random times. My brain's been in overdrive since. Makes me appreciate the rare quiet times such as these. I guess this is why Lily came to appreciate her weekly walks to the convenience store and her tea parties with Hanako. Despite her like of being surrounded by others, they gave her a moment of peace in a chaotic and busy life. Thank God the exams are over, eh? Common draws an earnest chuckle from both of the girls. It seems like everybody's been a lot happier since the exams ended last week. Hey, feeling better, Slime? Hey, Vermilion Knight, welcome on in. Yeah, I'm feeling better. Feeling very much better. So I'm just kind of still sad that I couldn't make it for Warframe in the morning. How dare you! Thank you for the resub, Ash. 8 months, Jesus. It's about to be a year.
Almost a
Ah,
year.
ah. Well, I mean, but not on Twitch, but like it's. I think it's already closing in on a year. I think didn't we meet like last year of October, maybe September?
Yeah, just about.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, what are you doing for summer holidays, Hanako? Only I quickly count the days in my head. Today's Monday, and school finishes on Saturday. 5 days to go, after all.
I was thinking of traveling just around a bit. There's a lot of places I want to see, and I think I have enough money to pay for the bus and train rides. Naomi and one of the other girls in the newspaper club said they might come along too.
Her look indicates she's given the matter quite a lot of thought. Kind of surprised that she's contemplating something like this. It seems she's really become intact on striking out on her own.
Is there anywhere in particular you're thinking of going? I was thinking that Kyoto sounds nice. I I think I'll try to go a few places though.
Lily nods in approval, happy with Hanako's plan. While I cast my eyes to Lily, I refrain from asking her the same question. She's been evasive with her plans for the future for a long time now. I never seem to get a good time to broach on the subject alone with her. Every time it comes up in conversation, it feels like she's either unsure of herself or simply dodging the question. It's troubling. Be sure to call sometimes while you're out and about. I gave you my number before, right? Nako gives a quick nod, a happy smile on her face. It's strange to see how happy people seem to become when they have a goal to work towards. Yuko seems to brighten whenever her university aspirations are brought up, and now Hanako is just the same. So why do I still feel this uncertainty? Why Lily too? Relationships really can be irritating, some troublesome, sometimes.
Oh, what time is it?
Hmm? Oh, takes me a few seconds to remember that Lily's clock doesn't have any visual feedback. I really should know, given how many times I've been in her room. Nevertheless, I take my watch from my bag and quickly check it. The reason for her asking becomes clear. It's about 20 past 10, nearly curfew. Nako raises to her feet, dusting herself off and kneading her gown after doing so.
I'd better be going then. Good night, Lily, Hisao. Sleep well, Hanako.
See you tomorrow. With that, she walks to the door and quietly makes her exit. Silence. Fair enough. This seems to be happening more and more between Lily and me recently. After a few seconds, I finally find something to talk about. Oh, yeah, I talked to Matao on Friday. I finally checked out some guides on college and how to apply for it.
That's good news. If you're going to be applying for college, I assume you have some idea in mind of what you might do in the future.
I think I'll uh, settled on becoming a science teacher. It's going to take a while to get through university and everything to be qualified, but I think it'll be worth it. Lily's face brightens considerably at the news. I suppose, with her wish to become a teacher, she's delighted that I take the same kind of path.
So, you've decided on a career of teaching. I think that path suits you most excellently, Hisao.
I smile and nod. This time, even if I know she can't see me doing it so, I know she feels it.
I imagine Mutao would have taken to the news well.
That's one word for it. Hey Lily,
Yes?
I know you want to be a teacher, but for a second, I wonder whether I should really ask her the question on my mind. But that's quickly brushed aside by the fact that this is rather late to have second thoughts.
Surely you don't still think I'd be offended by something regarding my blindness.
Her accusing tone is betrayed by her grinning face. Amused at my awareness in raising the topic, something never changes. Good point, I guess. I was thinking whether or not being blind would be a hindrance. What, with your ambitions to become a teacher and all? She looks mildly surprised before giving the question some thought. I refuse to think she never actually pondered this issue before.
I wonder, Hisao, could you close your eyes for a moment?
uh, okay. Raising an eyebrow, I do as she's requested. I have no idea what she has in mind. My question only increases as I peek out from one eye. Taking the black ribbon she usually wears in her hair from the cabinet beside her bed, she advances towards me while running it through her fingers to remove any stray hair remaining on the piece of cloth. I suddenly click onto her intentions as I feel the black strip make contact with my face, wrapping around my head and over my eyes. Um, what exactly is this for?
It's a little test, Hisao, since you seem to be wondering. I'll let you see things as I do for a time.
Huh? So that's what this is about. To be honest, this actually sounds kind of fun, childish, and rather silly to anyone who would be watching, but a bit of silly fun never hurts anyone. Okay, giggy bastard. I stand up with a heave, my hands quickly moving out in front of me to warn me of any obstacles. Okay, now what?
Now, touch me.
Hey yo, wait, hold on. Hold on. I'm not ready. Can't see. If you say so. Now then. I slowly make my way forward towards the sound of Lily's voice. My walking speed could barely even be called a shuffle. The entire experience feels alien enough to, or that I don't want to risk inadvertently tripping over anything, such as her table or her haphazard piles of books. Something soft yet solid brushes against my left leg. Further inspection reveals it to be Lily's bed. I move onward, finding myself thankful that Lily's room is so neat and tidy. Even the piles of books she has are genuinely kept close to the wall, well out of harm's way. The hard wall pressing against my outstretched hand makes me frown my brow in frustration. Hey, Lily, where are you?
What are you doing over there? I'm over here.
Lily's voice comes from the other side of the room, far from where it was before. Even to my untrained ears, if she go if she's going out of her way to avoid me reaching her, And is this just a game to her? Of course it is. Compared to a life where even the concept of sight is an abstract one, a few minutes of in a blindfold are nothing. I guess she made her point. She's more than capable of navigating her room. And further, I've seen how independent she is, even when compared to many of the others in Yamaku. Well, even if this is just a game, I may as well play it wholeheartedly. With a pace much quicker than before, I move towards the source of her voice, definitely sidestepping at the table in the center of her room, thanks to remembering its position. I've got you now. She gives an impish giggle, one just long enough to work out that she's passing just beside me. I quickly turn around to face the new direction. The table wasn't there before. Ow, ow, ow! I slowly sit up next to the table, raising my blindfold as I rub my aching head. I give an irritated kick to the table that's sitting just in front of where I fell. Utterly pointless, but the things deserved it.
Sal?
Lily's still standing just to my side, obviously unsure of what's befallen me. Sorry, I kind of fell over.
Are you hurt?
My head hurts, but I think I'm okay. I think the table moved in order to trip me over. She giggles as she walks over and takes a seat beside me, her hand resting on my own.
I suppose that's the end of that then.
I think so. But I also think I get the point, though I do wish it hadn't involved such a headache. Lily suddenly looks blank,
Point.
and I return an extraordinarily flat look. That was just for fun.
I just thought it might ease you up a little about the subject. You always seem to tiptoe around it, after all. In regard to teaching, sight isn't that important. There are plenty of classes taught by entirely blind teachers, and more than enough resources for me to learn the subject. It's as simple as that, really.
I slump my shoulders and give a snort of amusement. Yeah, I understand. I guess we'll both just have to work hard to reach our goals then.
Hmm,
What is it? With a little hesitation, Lily pushes forward her chin and closes her eyes in an unmistakably gesture. I accept gladly, her lips touching as they do. I suddenly feel her hands shaking up my chest from underneath my shirt. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my heart suddenly accelerate. So she's in that kind of mood again, huh? Well, I'm hardly one to complain. She does genuinely like this. And even with all my medication, my libido is thankfully still intact. I lean into the kiss further, holding her hand tightly as I feel it tracing the contours of my chest. Eventually, we break off from one another. The room's silent, but for our breathing.
hey, Sal,
Yeah?
I don't suppose you could wear the blindfold again.
Oh, jeez. Whoa. Her tentative suggestion takes me by surprise. I suppose she wants to introduce me to sex through her eyes as well, Jesus. Or just wanting to find out what it'll be like during the act while hampered by the blindfold. With a measure of unease tempered by curiosity, I do as she says and lower the blindfold over my eyes. The world becomes dark once again. I reflexively tense as I feel Lily's hand gently brush the side of my face. entirely unable to anticipate her touch. I really need to get more used to contact like this. Even after the weeks we've been going out, it isn't a natural, isn't it? It isn't as natural for me as it is for her. Silence? Hey, Lily?
Shh.
I obediently follow her instructions and quietly listen, trying to make out anything that's happening around me. Compared to before, when I was chasing Lily, the need to carefully navigate the room's obstacles now gone. I can take my time and concentrate much harder on listening. It takes a while, but I can eventually pick out the soft sound of her breathing in the otherwise dead silent room. In, out, in, out. Measuring it against my own breathing, I realize it's definitely deeper than normal, especially for her. Another sound makes its way into my ear, one that I can't identify immediately. I don't think I've heard it before, but my heart skips a beat. As I realize the source, my hand almost reflexively reaches out towards it. Her face feels softer than usual under my touch, her head just barely turning in acknowledgement towards the fingers on her cheeks.
Isao,
I gulp and take a moment to try and calm down. I need all the concentration I can muster while I'm like this in order to fully take in my surroundings. After a few deep breaths, I think I managed to collect myself. With a touch so light that it wouldn't disturb a feather, I start to move my hand down her body, and I can feel myself losing focus again, thanks to those thin silken pajamas of hers resting so perfectly over the curve of her body. If she's like this, then that means she has to be sitting against her bed and facing me. Now, to continue. Alright, this must be her hip. I move slowly downward. Melon.
cantaloupe.
uh, Game. This fucking visual novel's great. More. I want more. I can feel my chest tightening as I rock back and forth frantically, both of us entirely taken with ourselves. Nothing that unusual. I just need to take deep breaths to steady myself. This feeling is just normal. Ah! Ah! This isn't. I can't. This pain is too much. Ah! I stumble backwards from Lily with unseemingly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table and falling to the ground with unceremonious crash. Breathing wildly, I frantically scrape at the ribbon over my eye as I lay on my back. I have to get this off. I have to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank as the rush of new-found light assaults my eyes. My breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. Seconds pass, and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal, back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor. Looking at the ceiling, the adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself up as I hear Lily getting off the bed and coming towards me.
Isao, are you okay? Isao.
I'm fine, Lily. I'm fine. Gives a sigh of relief, her worried expression collapsing. Her face afterward is the very last I'd ever wanted to see from her. It's a face I detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago. Pity. Lily's pities me. I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sounds of Lily moving away and quickly attending her to herself. The ruffling of her clothes being pulled back on after a moment of searching just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate, that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels out the edges of the lower table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest.
I'm sorry, Hisao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you.
You don't need to apologize. I'm normally I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I should have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax.
So that's why you never took the lead.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing you like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little, a fact which helps let me feel less unease about my unreliable self. Lily's head comes to rest on my shoulder as I struggle to keep my eyes open. With more difficulty after each blink, I feel completely drained.
It's okay, Hisao. It's all okay.
No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lip. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. It's a soft, almost melodic tune. It sounds familiar. The more I try to remember its origins, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling and sense of her head gently resting on my shoulders and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. This singular quiet moment, after all the fracas, it makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lily and I together, sharing a single, solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? Heart attack transition. They were doing blind set. Wait, what? The loud clatter of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's becoming a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with and Hanako and Lily also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists towards the direction of the noise. I have thought her used to the people dropping books by now, since she does work here.
Hisao? Back again?
It takes me a moment to respond, my mind still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Hmm? Oh, yeah. Just returning some books I borrowed. She cast her eyes downward, presumably to the bin the books dropped into.
You're a very heavy reader, aren't you?
It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time, at least.
I wish I had free time to pass.
From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for her job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prejudiced private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I probably never manage it.
You're lucky being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university?
If she's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess I have the money, I think. I got plans which will require going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so.
University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses too makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much, though, that means you're doing well in school, right?
Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one, though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe one or two. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears to genuinely brighten at the question.
Anthropology. To be specific, I'm specializing in the history of classical era Athenian civilization and democracy.
She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. Uh, okay, thank you, Katawa, for skipping that. Both of us jumped at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. That was from your pocket? I thought that was the phone from the school library. Like, jeez. Apologizing profusely and quickly shuffling into the hallway as I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone. I glanced at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the numbers of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking. I don't know who this is, but
I
I'm
think it's what's his face? Kenji.
yeah. It's I mean I'm just gonna rate it just
I
as
don't know.
default of not knowing. Jeez, pick up faster next time. Anyways, guess who? It it's oh I know who it is. This music says it all. It takes me only it only takes me a second to recognize the distinctively deep, boisterous voice. Hey, Misha. Don't expect.
Oh,
Didn't expect you to call me.
huh? You actually think I sound like her?
Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number though, so I thought I'd mess with you.
Oh, that. I got Lily to give it to me. Not hard.
She's positively brimming with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace. I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number, though, given how close they are. So, what's up?
You free right now?
I guess. Why?
Could you meet me at the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff.
Oh no.
Gonna
she,
have that big sister talk.
she's gonna have the big sister talk with the double barrel. Oh god, I guess I'm gonna be put down. Oh.
I just want to talk. I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
Is that an invitation to a date?
What? Of course not.
She sounds suddenly crestfallen. Her previous teasing nature has instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyways, I don't see why not. When do you want to meet?
Kind of now ish.
Wait, right now? But it's. The dead silence suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she has unceremoniously hung up. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the call end message on the screen, while replaying the conversation in my head. What the hell, Akira? Throwing a glance up and down the street, across the road, and stepped into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lily's slower speed during our forays into town mean I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Akira didn't expect me to immediately prompt. It takes only a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on the bench with a can of beer in her hand.
Sapporo.
The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or greeting. What's with that look? I didn't need to have come, you know?
I knew you would. You're that kind of person, after all.
I lowered my brow at her remark as she disposes of the can, emptied by the time I arrived, and the metallic clattering rings out. Akira takes a seat on the old wooden bench, and I follow her lead. She takes out another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking. Taking a large gulp, she seems to really like that stuff. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about.
I heard from Leigh that you asked about her family.
They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, her tone sounds almost wistful. Idly curious, mostly. I have to admit, I'd never have guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives a weary chuckle of amusement.
I've heard that before, trust me.
The small smile falls from her face. Her eyes look ahead distantly. Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk with um, meandering path and an um, aging car, it's pleasantly quiet.
She didn't tell you everything, though, did she?
It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland. She hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again.
It's always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents for all the good they did us.
The way she says it sounds almost derising. She gives a small sigh, as if to quickly brush the feelings away.
Why do you think they left, Hisao?
Why do I think they left? From what Lily told me, it's because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given the way your parents seem to live. So Lily went to a private school, and that's why she carries herself with that air of grace of the upper class.
Yeah, since the business in Inverness boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just the conclusion I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good natured.
You don't think they left for their career?
I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt that place was kind of creepy. Like it was isolated hideaway for those proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. They probably just rue the fact that Lily wasn't old enough to be shoved by there by the time they left.
A long silence follows. Her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents and Yamaku. Lily's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high class family attempting to keep up appearances, much less go when the ludicrous offer is on the table. Eventually, Akira gives a desertive snort, her feelings coming to a head.
Moving to secure a final financial future with his new job posting. Even at the time, I hardly believed it.
Not wanting to simply be an avenue for her venting, I gently try to steer the discussion. So that's why you stayed in Japan with Lily then?
Either I stayed with her or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather.
What about Shizune's family? If you're cousins, then
Our fathers hate each other. I'd have been more than happy to tell them to go screw themselves and live with them anyway, but Lily wouldn't have wanted that.
I can see why that both Shizune and Lily have a, you know, banter.
Hmm. I'd also have an offer for a job by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape and try to continue our lives as if they'd never left.
So you just lived by yourselves?
Basically, Lily had school and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked, though, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her and screwed it up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be the mother for a blind child? That's ridiculous.
So, Lily and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lily largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived alone much of the times since my parents both worked, but that's just something else entirely.
Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Hisao.
I don't mind at all. But do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all of this?
Hmm, you always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way.
She takes a long drink from the can in her hand. Her face becoming more depressed than distant.
I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. But that's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you don't have to roll with, or that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others.
She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky.
Damn, if I smoked, I could take a nice long drag right about now and look kind of cool.
I want to respond, to help her in whatever way I can, but I fear utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment.
I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know.
Hardly, and I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory for me.
You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice.
She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last swig.
It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said that I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lily a summons to rejoin them in Inverness.
No way. Her evasiveness when asked about her future, the awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, that uncharacteristic outburst of anger, all of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party, the same family that left her, and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lily on what was bugging her. I never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home in Inverness. And now a sense of uneasy grows in my chest. If her family has summoned her to rejoin them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted?
Lily hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, Isao.
Context. Huh. I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face.
Lily's a strong person, Isao, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister, but I think that you deserve to know.
I understand.
You okay? You sound depressed.
No, I'm just thinking.
That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere.
She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist.
I gotta go. Will you be okay?
I'll be fine. Don't worry. I have to talk to Lily about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really. Both of us are dancing around the fact that Lily's on the precise of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. For the first time in a long time, or in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that, but at least I now have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Sad transition. Why the fuck didn't she tell
Sag.
us?
Sag.
Hurry, Lily.
I'm moving as fast as I can.
I can barely make out Lily's voice over the deafening pondering of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. That's why you princess carrier, man. Just come on. We know you got the muscles. Return forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grave scales. This really is rotten weather for summer, and the last kind of climate I want for our date. A pity. I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand. One of the very few times I've ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lilly, her shoulders are by now drenched, and her right hand holding tightly to mine, and her left gripping her retracted cane. This horrid downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Yamako, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lily is using her concentration just to avoid tripping over.
Isao, do you know where we're going?
Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. The shot! The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain.
The what?
The Shanghai!
How far is it?
It shouldn't be far now. It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe. It's just up ahead. I quickly pulled up to the stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and waiting for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her. A smile and a polite nod before my reward before entering myself. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distant lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Someone by the bell, ringing. A almost expected person comes to greet us.
Welcome to the Shanghai.
Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her mood is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm.
Hello, Yuko.
Hey.
Good afternoon, you two.
Takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look of us, or at us.
What happened to you? You both look.
Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us.
Oh, oh dear.
We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing.
It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh, wait, sorry, is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please.
I'll have the same. Also rum, shaken, not stirred.
Right, coming right up.
She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her job. I laid Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settled down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down on into my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person run down the street, trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lee sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. The comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us is the type that we so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together since I entered Yamaku and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second guess her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I'm very much want to avoid doing so.
You seem quiet today, Hisao.
Really?
You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I'd assumed you'd had something specific you wanted to do.
No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you.
Is that so?
Fine. There was one thing. A little grin finds its way onto Lily's face. Her knowing full well that she bested me. It makes me it makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It's just Akira and I were talking.
Oh,
What's with that tone?
you two do seem to get along well, don't you?
Well, I do think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of that out of the teachers were anything like her. For a moment, I tried to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you?
I'm not jealous.
After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As we settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point on why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just about everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said,
Akira told you about my family summons, hasn't she?
seconds tick by while I try to read Lily's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seemed annoyed, but also somewhat confused.
Here.
Hugo tentatively slides our drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. She walks back to the counter after a quick and polite nod. I realize the air between me and Lily is thick, and our expressions are both somewhat pensive.
Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times.
I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you. It's not like I can't understand her concerns over this. Lily's irritations gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. He really doesn't deal well with being cornered on personal topics.
I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured it out eventually, but
You were intentionally hiding this from me? For how long were you planning to do so?
as I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you.
What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want to. I, I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut.
My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there.
So, you're going. How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago.
Some time.
My frustration barely nearly boils over. The fact that she done this affects me more than it should. For her to not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me, and after seeming so for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. I feel as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily,
I'm sorry. I wanted to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you. Please.
I know. Lily, I know. This is just really sudden. I guess this means once you go, we'll be breaking up. One of the few times seen since I've met her, she genuinely lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt because of the fact had dawned on her once she became sure of her decision, but rather, she appears genuinely unsure how to deal with the situation now that is in front of her.
Well, we could try pursuing a long distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days, after all.
Even as she says it, the tone in her voice gives away that she doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Lay's too far is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence, and even I am, to an extent. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempt to try and connect what's happening with the future or past this seems to be just seems to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walked side by side, the precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira, casual chatter we had during lunchtime, the times we made love, the confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless, all just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it.
I'm sorry, Hisao.
A simple apology, no more. She left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going?
I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be a little less than a week.
The beginning of summer holidays.
Just a little afterwards, yes.
Her tone is unusually slow and steady, her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written on her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stared down into the still surface, trying to sort out through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But, just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cold tea without complaint, her face drawn and her shoulders slumped. She looks to be in deep thought too, a strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside, and the few other patrons of Shanghai having left. A chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Surely enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of bespectacled Kenji. Hey man, what's. Whoa, dude, you look awful. I think. You okay? He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to get into it. It's late. Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm, you know, here. I looked at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed with by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Genji. Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right? Yeah, you're right. Um, See ya. I open the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud the door makes against the door frame sounds out a final call for the life I've led since coming to Yamako. I just stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onward. Just what should I do?
Mime, this is sad.
Damn. Did you really make sure you guys didn't get the bad ending? Lord. Also, give me a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I'm gonna hit this so I can actually mute on Discord. Uh,
He's gonna hit the gritty, guys. He's gonna hit the gritty. Uh, mhm.
God, depressing times, am I right? I got pizza.
You got pizza holding out on me.
Here, I'll put it to the mic for you. Take,
Okay.
there you go.
Nom 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 nom.
Oh my god. Mm. As class ends, I simply rest my head on my hand and stare out to the window to pass time. A few it's been a few days since Lily told me her plans. It haven't been to our ordinary lunchtime haunt since then. Not that there would be much point. Nako's been busy with the newspaper club she's newly joined, and has even begun taking or talking in class with Naomi every now and then. Even Lily, aside from the fact that a meeting between us would have been awkward in any case, she's been run off her feet with class representative duties as the summer holidays approach. And now they're just about here. With the end of today's bell, the summer holidays will have begun. I suppose that's all I'll end up doing. Will be visiting my parents for the duration of lazing about my old home, now that my previous plans are entirely askew. Meanwhile, Akira and Lily will be en route to Scotland to live out the rest of their lives there. No matter how hard I try to rationalize the idea that one summer holiday begins, my life will return to the way it was. It simply refuses to happen. Everyone moving on with their lives, Lily rejoining her family, Akira moving up in her father's business, Hanako gaining new friends and hobbies, and even Yuko moving ahead with her university aspirations. Even I'm moving forward in the end. With the grades I've gotten so far in Yamaku, much less after such a rocky beginning, the path to into teaching science as a career seems straightforward. I suppose I should be it, or should at least be happy about that much, but it doesn't really seem to help.
Lee-chan.
I quickly stop my ruminating and return to face the bubbly voice beside me, putting up on the most upbeat expression I can muster. As expected, Shizune stands flanking her. I have a sneak suspicion they want something from me. Hey, Misha. Shizune. What's up?
Well, Chi-chan and I were thinking, since we're just two poor little girls that need help with all the work we've been just given before the holidays begin.
Sure, I can help.
But He-chan, we really need. What?
I think I broke Misha. Even Shizune raises an eyebrow at her accomplice, shuddering stop in her tracks.
So you'll help us, Hee-chan?
I just said I would, didn't I? It's hardly like I have anything better to do. Maybe helping them will with their work will help me take my mind off of the situation. Misha seems genuinely aesthetic uh, with my response, but Shizune's expression is clouded and difficult to read. I can't find myself quickly averting my eyes from her own, as it almost looks like a face of pity. No doubt, it must just be my imagination. This is hardly the first time I've been in the student council room. Indeed, I found myself down here often, either helping either to help Lilly with class rep work or to sort out one thing or another with the student council itself. Now, though, it's quite a different place. Paper and folders are skewered or stewed are across every table in the room. Only the solitary little black laptop atop a single desk sticking out from the mess. It looks positively ancient, and I guess, um, it has been valiantly serving its task in achieving information for years and years. So, what needs doing? This looks like a lot to do. Shizune's expression becomes determined as she sighs. It's a worrying look.
Everything, Hee-chan.
My worry was well placed. Everything you say?
What's left on the desks is what needs to be done. It all needs to be digitally recorded, which is what the laptop is for.
And I'm guessing that I'll be the one doing this.
Shi-chan says that she saw you with the computers in the library a few days ago, and that you seem really good with them.
So you're telling me none of these two can use a computer? Good with computers. I can touch type, I guess, but it seems like an overestimation of my skills. I was just typing up homework. Wait, Shizune was watching me do that?
One must know their allies before they can know their enemies, of course. Wow, that's pretty wise.
For once, it's not very hard to work out who said what. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem worth fighting over. Sitting at the computer doing some typing hardly seems over nervous. At very as far as tasks to help Shizune and Misha go,
Besides, it will help you take your mind off of things.
take my mind off of things. Take my mind off of what things? Misha's face goes blank as she translates this for Shizune, though the latter response is only to glance away towards the window after briefly sighing. Misha's face quickly returns to a smile as she translates back. She was confused, I guess, but Shizune is hard to pin down.
I was just thinking you may like to get your mind off the exams, of course.
Either way, it may as well get into it sooner rather than later. I'll go along with you.
That's the spirit, Hee-chan.
And with the fifth spreadsheet compiled and saved, time for the next months. After a little bit of fussing around, we all managed to get a bit more organized. Shizune had been gathering up the loose sheets and, thankfully, sorting them into a neat pile next to me. Meanwhile, Misha had been handling the manual writing work. Her girly pink pen leaves it unmistakably marked on paper after paper. Once I got myself into a rhythm, this really wasn't so bad. Shizune and Misha also seemed to be in the swing of things, wordlessly communicating as they go about their business with uh, fervor. I periodically glance at the sheet beside the laptop, apparently a list of students' names and matching addresses, as I dutifully enter the data written on it. I do not pay a lot of attention to what I'm typing in until I reach about midway down the page. Hakamachi, class 3-3. Huh. Family home is in Satama. My idle curiosity is ended abruptly at three light caps can be heard rapping on the door. Misha quickly skips over to check who it is, tapping Shizune's shoulder on the way, past to let her accompany, knowing what happened.
Ah, you're here.
Hmm? Who is it? With a slight pause to enter Shizune's data into the file along with all the others, I look up to check who's at the door. Lily? After giving a sensory nod to Misha in greeting, she perks her head up in her trademark manner.
Is that Hisao?
She's pretty darn good at working out my voice from the smallest of phrases nowadays. Yeah, it's me. Um, hey. The atmosphere feels slightly awkward as she bows. Neither of us know quite how intimate we should be around each other, given she's leaving in just a matter of a few hours. This is a fact that thankfully neither neither the oblivious Misha nor the hard-working Shizune pick up on. So, you got work to do as well?
Unfortunately, I arrived as soon as I could, but my class held me up with a surprise farewell party, and I had to get changed.
I glance down at the laptop's clock. It's pretty well much the end of lunchtime, so I'm guessing Lily managed to wrangle the last period off as well.
I take it Shizune is here as well. Of course! And I've been here during all of lunchtime as well.
That last comment was really not needed. Chizune is baiting Lily into another argument. I can feel it.
I'm sorry I can't be as hardworking as you, Shizune. I'll endeavor to hire more lackeys to do my work in future, I assure you.
And Lily just took the bait, escalating things further.
But aren't you the one always outsourcing work to your classmates? The difference is that they choose to help, unlike your tyrannical grip on your own class. Tyranny works. Even if we did things differently, we still got the same results, right? This is school, not a police state. You will have to remind me when you were appointed class monarch, I'm afraid. Her face. You have to seize power. It's not as good if it's just handed to you, but I guess you wouldn't really understand that, right? You'll also have to remind me when monarchs were elected into their positions.
Lily positively bristles at this. Shizune's two-hit combo forces her into defense.
Yet for all your vaunted power, you cannot get one person to help you without forcing him. But he self-volunteered. He's such a hard worker, he's doing this instead of meaninglessly socialization, right? Is that so, Hisao?
Ah, this is bad. I really ended up between a rock and a hard place. As much as it pains me to do this, the truth has at least a chance of stopping this argument here and now. It's okay, Lily. They didn't harass me to come or anything. It gives me a disapproving grimace, silently radiating her strong feelings of displeasure in my general direction. She could be quite scary when she wants to be. Thankfully, that isn't often.
Hey-chan, you make that sound like it's a regular occurrence.
It isn't. In the end, it doesn't matter so long as everything gets done at a good pace. Let's just get this work over with so we can go home. Shizune snorts derivously and gets back to marking off the sheets in front of her, while Lily sighs and finds her way along the room, with her hand following the filing cabinets lined along the wall. This would mark the only time I've managed to successfully defuse one of these situations. But the grudging ceasefire built around mutual fear and respect makes this feel more like the Cold War than any real peace. I can't take all the credit though. Lily leaving has surely affected Shizune to some extent to make her give up so easily. Moments before getting back to work, I noticed Lily reaching to grab something from above the filing cabinet. I almost offered to help, but her height gives her ample ability to take it down safely. When she sets the strangely shaped device on the desk beside her, I realize just what it is, sort of, as she takes the old green cover off and sits down. At first glance, it seems to be an old metallic blue typewriter, but it doesn't take me long to realize it's far from ordinary. It has far few keys than expected, and those it has show no lettering printed on them, only the few shadows cast by the tiny braille dots on them give a hint to the thing's purpose. Blind typewriter?
Oh, this. Well, you're not far off. It's normally called the Perkins Brailler, but it's basically a typewriter for the blind, yes. It presses braille into the page rather than text, which is why it has fewer keys.
Huh, that's really neat. She gives a light-hearted grin at my curiosity over it. I have to admit that it appeals to my sense of novelty. Without further ado, we get back to our allotted tasks. The loud clunking of the mechanics in Lily's brailler and the tapping of the laptop old and weary keyboard quickly fills the room. It's a nice atmosphere. Really. Everyone knows what they have to do, and Lily and I get to sit beside each other and exchange the odd word as we work away. Nostalgic. That's what it feels like. It's pleasant, but just slightly stained with the knowledge that our time together is nearly its end.
Excuse me, Misha.
To promptly address her, Nisha bounces over from the filing cabinet she's peering into. In sight of Lily's lack of sight, for a moment, I think it's strange, but then realize it's exactly what I do.
What's up? Could you ask Shizune where the attendance records for class 3-2 are? I think they've been moved. Okie dokie.
And with that, she filters off to Shizune, who's working at the table behind us. Lily's familiarity with the council room and the effectiveness with which she works reminds me that she, Misha, and Shizune used to all work together in the student council. Maybe this is a fitting end for her stay in Yamaku, working away just like she used to, surrounded by those she loves and, at least, liked. I look up, getting taken off guard by Shizune sorting through a drawer rather than Misha. Sure enough, she plucks out a manila folder, entirely blank save for the just barely visible bump in front on its front, and it and holds it in front of Lily. Lily's hand flits over it to check what it is. Her fingers feeling out the dots of braille and confirming it's what she asked for.
Thank you, Misha.
No reply. No reply. That is, save for an old grin. No smile on Shizune's face. A couple of seconds pass before Lily clicks that isn't Misha behind her, but Shizune. Her momentary look of surprise is replaced by a slightly bashful smile. For a few moments, the room is all but still and silent. Eventually, though, Shizune strides back to her workstation and Lily begins typing once again. It only lasts a handful of seconds in all, but it feels like years of communication were made up for in that one silent exchange. There. Finished. I lean my head back and rub my eyes to try and work away their weariness. Staring at that small and rather poor screen has taken its toll. I feel you on that one.
Excellent timing. The only thing left is to file these away, and I'll have my workload finished as well.
Good. I can pack up the boiler and put it away while you do that.
Thank you, Hisao.
Misha, are you and Shizune far from being done? I look around for the two as I replace the corner over the broiler, only to see them waiting at the door. I guess they must be waiting for us. With a minimum of wasted time, we file and pack everything that remains and join them. Thanks for waiting, you two.
We couldn't just take off without you, Hee-chan. You've been a great help.
Shizune nods approvingly, pleased with my efforts. I guess that's the last class representative work done and over with then.
That's right. I'll miss you, Lily. I think it was fun working with you. Thank you, Misha. It's been good working with you and Shizune.
Shizuna thinks for a moment before formulating her response. It's not that she often communicates without thinking, quite the opposite, but this time it's even more considering than usual. Misha looks a little surprised before passing on the message.
Shizune says you'd better do your work over there better than you did it here.
Far from taking offense, Lily giggles into her hand.
If that's the case, then please tell Shizune to give those still here a little more understanding in the future.
Competitive until the last. Maybe Shizune and Lily aren't so different after all.
Chi-chan says that she'll be checking to make sure you live up to your end of the promise. Then that's how it will be. I'd better be off then. Goodbye, Shizune. Goodbye, Misha. Isao?
Lily takes a hold of my arm in hers. There's no need for a cane if I'm here to guide her. With a nod of farewell to the two, we set off to the out the door and make our way to the school grounds. As I turn to wave goodbye to them, I notice Shizune's gaze lingering on Lily. They may annoy each other, but the family bonds aren't easily broken. Got all of your papers sorted out then?
Yes, they've all been filled out and handed in.
On top of the things, as always, aren't you? She gives an earnest smile at the compliment, but it feels as if her happiness is just veneer over the fact that she's fully aware of how much she's leaving behind. It reminds me how she was liking, uh, how how she was like when I first met her, always smiling, always that bit aloof, always that little distant away from everybody. Even now, she maintains that air around many others, especially those she's not close to. I had hoped that our time together would have changed that fact. Our pace slows, two of us coming to a halt in the all but empty school gardens.
Isao, is something the...
Lily's words are cut short as I turn and wrap my arms around her, pulling her tight. I may not usually be given to such impulse actions, but I just wanted to be close to her, even if it's the last time I'm able to. All the other students have retreated to their dormitories and homes, only the ruffling of leaves in the breeze making any sound whatsoever. As I drew back, I could see she has dropped her carefully maintained smile. Her hands hesitate, whether neither to leave nor to stay on my features. She's putting up a brave show, but her slightest trembling gave her away. Lily may be able to control herself well, but even she can't hold her composure together now. This is the woman I've come to love, but also the one who is all too short a time will leave the country forever.
I'm sorry, Isao.
It's okay. Got your own life to lead, after all. We walk up to the hallway in the girls' dormitory hand in hand. Our emotions are now largely quelled. Nevertheless, our hands grip each other much more tightly than before. Faint, muffled voices can be heard from Lily's room, the origins of which aren't difficult to guess. The moment she opened the door, Hanako bursts through and wraps her arms around Lily, taking her very obviously by surprise.
Lily. Lily. Hanako. I'm gonna miss you, Lily.
As expected, on her on the verge of tears, Lily rubs Hanako's hair with her hand in response, then pulls back and gives a warm, reassuring smile. Looking beyond Hanako, Akira can be seen getting up from the side of Lily's bed and scratching her head. Her eyes turn from Lily and Hanako to me. A stilted, weak smile hangs on her face. I try to return a more genuinely happy look, but the results is probably just the same.
So everything set? Managed to hold back from killing Shizune?
The comment draws an amused giggle from her sister.
Yes, I have everything in order, and yes, I managed not to. Have you packed everything you need? Got the 2 bags right here, but there's still some stuff left at the Hakimichi's home. I can pick that up while we wait there for tomorrow evening's flight, though.
Gair gives 2 large black traveling bags on the floor a hearty pat. He probably came to help pack and make sure everything was in order on Lily's end before going together with her.
Lily, will you be okay over there? I'll be all right, I assure you. I'll have Akira looking after me as well, and you know that she's reliable. But don't worry, Hanako. I have your phone number after all, so we can stay in touch. With Akira's help, I could send you things over the internet as well. Hey, don't use me just because you won't learn how to use a computer.
Hanako and Lily both giggle briefly, the mood lightening ever so light.
That goes for you too, though, Hisao. I promise I'll contact you once I'm in Scotland.
I know. I'll be looking forward to it. Her offer may be kind, but we both know that this is a tantamount to break up or to breaking up. Neither of us has any illusion as to how well we manage a long distance relationship. With nary a word of prompting, the 4 of us begin the long, solemn walk to the school gate. The numerous lamps scattered around Yamaku's grounds fail to do much more than provide pinpoints of light in an otherwise dense darkness. A car parked on the road just outside the school grounds comes into view, its shining black exterior reflecting the dimly lit lamp of Yamaku. A call out to Akira in an effort to uh, elevate a bit the heavy atmosphere. That's your car? What kind is it?
Don't know much about cars, do you? It's a Lancer Evo, solid and speedy.
Well, it's not as if her comment on my knowledge is off the mark. I've never really taken an interest in them. Same. She gives a small sigh.
She's been good. Pity I have to part with it tomorrow, just like the summer house. You guys were the last to visit it before it changed hands.
Turning back from my rather faulty attempt at small talk, I glance at Hanako and Lily following behind us. By rights, Hanako should be leading Lily, but it's rather definitely the other way around, as she clings tightly to Lily's arm. It's a depressing sight.
So, I guess this is it. Indeed.
Although the time for everyone to say their farewells is now, nobody really wants to take the first step. As if the longer nobody speaks, the better chances of them simply not leaving.
Lily, do you really have to go? I'm sorry, Hanako. I won't be leaving you forever, though. I can still call you. Hisa will still be here as well.
I nod, but Hanako just clutches all the tighter to Lily's arm. After spending so long without anyone to call her family, or call family, it must be excruciating to have to say goodbye to the one person that was close to a mother as anyone could have been in her life. Lily letting out a long, sad breath. All Akira and I can really do is stand by quietly on the sidelines, since the only person that can solve this would be Lily herself. Eventually, Lily pulls her arm from Hanako's grip and holds both of her shoulders gently, a much more decisive way to address than I've ever seen Lily take with her.
Hanako, remember when we first met? When you entered my room for the first time after overhearing my consoling of a friend, you didn't say a single word for the entire night. Even as I poured you tea and talked, you sat silently and simply listened to what I said. It took many quiet meetings like that before you began to open up to me, but as you began to, I felt some of the happiest moments I've ever felt. I didn't become your friend because I pitied you, Hanako. I became your friend because I knew you were hiding not just from me, but from everyone. Your ambitions, personality, interests, tastes, I didn't know any of them, and neither did anyone else. As you showed yourself to me, though, I began to realize the person that you were, and became sure that our meeting was a very special moment. But I.
Lily cuts her words short as she brings her hands to Hanako's head and brushes her bangs to the side, gently pressing her lips to Hanako's forehead. As she pulls her head back, leaving Hanako all but speechless and her eyes moist, Lily beams a wide smile.
I believe you are a very beautiful person, Hanako, and I am certain that you will become a strong and confident woman. You are a very dear friend and someone who I love very much. Just like Hisao, I will never forget you for as long as I live. I may be leaving, but you have your own life here to lead, just as I do. You have your own friends and hobbies, and your own hopes after graduation. I want you to devote yourself to them, even after I'm not around anymore. That is why I think you will be okay, because you are your own self, with your own life. You yourself proved that to me.
Hanako lowers her head in embarrassment, but nods as she does so.
I I understand. I know I have to say goodbye. I know you have to go your own way. But thank you, Lily, for everything.
I was gonna say there's a bit of shift in tone there.
Thank you, Hanako. Will you be okay?
There's a few seconds of silence before the answer comes.
I will.
Lily smiles, undoubtedly at least partly in relief.
That makes me very happy then. Goodbye. Goodbye, Lily. And farewell to you as well, Hisao.
Goodbye. I'll miss you. She pauses for a moment before walking up to me, her right hand outstretched in front of her, takes a hold of my shoulders. Her left hand slowly and faintly reaches towards my face, taking my cheek into her palm. For a while, she holds m- she simply holds my face, her fingers just slightly moving to take in its contours. Usually, her hand would be warm when doing such a thing, but the night's air gives her skin a cold edge. I'm not sure how long we stay like this. Her clouded eyes pointed just below my own, as wears a wistful, almost distant smile. Eventually, though, I take her cold hand in mine. It's difficult to do so, but with the slightest sigh, I gently remove her hand from my cheek. I hope you have a long and happy life, Lily, no matter where you might go.
Thank you. I'll make sure to.
She takes a long, trembling breath before turning slightly towards Akira's direction.
Akira. Okay. Sorry.
With a nod, she takes Lily's hand and begins to guide her to the car parked outside the gate. They both walk slowly and deliberately, as if their movement had been reassured in advance. It's strange to feel like this now, watching somebody leave Yamaku. The feeling of unease I have now reminds me of the first time I walked through those black routed iron gates that always looks far too pompous for what they are. As they leave, all of us know full well that our lives are irreversibly changing. I had always told myself that I just have to take life as it comes. But everything's changed so fast, so suddenly. In the end, Lily's an irreplaceable part of the lives of both Hanako and me. The noise of Akira opening the passenger's door for Lily brings me out of my thoughts. Her hand waving back as gets in.
See ya, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Click too fast.
Goodbye, Hanako. Goodbye, Hisao.
Hanako's hand quickly shoots up. Her face brightens by her enthusiastic farewell.
Goodbye, Lily. Goodbye.
See you, Akira. And goodbye, Lily. The door shuts as we all put our best happy farewell faces. Akira getting in the car herself and starting it up in short measure. Lily's hand can just be seen waving through the tinted windows, both our hands waving high and as well. Just as every other time I've done such things, I can't quite work out precisely why I or Hanako wave to her, given that she never sees us doing so. But it doesn't matter. Even after that black, shiny car goes down the hill and disappears into the dark night, we carry on waving, seeing Akira and Lily off. And then they're gone. A strange stillness takes over as our hands return to our side. I don't quite know what I should do or how I should feel. In the end, we just stand there silently staring down at where the car disappeared from sight.
Bye, Lily.
All I can do in response to her quiet, mournful goodbye is place a hand on her shoulder. She looks at me for a few moments before looking back down the hill, secure in the knowledge that I'm still around for her. What we'll do from now on doesn't seem all that uncertain. We all have our own ambitions now, just as Lily said. But even so, it feels like there's a certain missing part in both of our lives now, something that can never be replaced. Transition. You thought that was the end? It's not. We're nearing it though. I'm pretty sure this is like the final transition to the visual novel. Also, welcome on in, Lockgun. Hopefully you're doing well. The snap of my mobile phone closing contrasts with the ambient chatter and noise audible even in the hallway outside of the library. It's the first day of the summer holidays, a time that had perpetually seemed so far away, and yet it's now not only here but also made painfully obvious by the students, or lack therefore of, left in the school. Most students have returned home to spend the holidays with relatives by now. The few that are left are mostly chattering between themselves, usually about what they intend to do in the coming weeks. It makes me feel like the odd one out. It makes me feel like the odd one out for taking advantage of the school library being open for the first several days of the holiday. Ostentive, or yeah, ostentives. The fuck?
Obstinately? Oh, wait,
Ostin.
wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I thought it was obstinately, but that's definitely not the word.
Hold on, I got this. I got this.
We can have Google say it.
Yes.
Ostensibly.
Ostensibly. Oh my god.
Ostensibly?
That's
Oh,
what
that's weird.
that's what it's pronounced, which is
Okay.
apparent or purportedly, but perhaps not actually. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
What is this fucking word? Oh my god. It's for students to drop off any books they borrowed and have yet to return, and for those who will have their parents pick them up to help pass the time until they get whisked away. Damn, getting stolen away by parents. Who would have thought? Thanks to the recent lengthy phone call from my parents, which had so rudely woken me from my sleep on a beanbag at the back of the library, I'm now in the latter category. Sliding my phone back into my pocket, this time remembering to set it to silent, I go back into the quiet and wholly placid room. It's a nostalgic sight, just as when Lily first led me to the library. The orange tint of the sunset bathes the room in its light while Hanako sits on a beanbag silently reading, and Yuko fusses just barely visible behind the counter. Hanako especially has been noticeably more quiet than usual since yesterday's happenings, but I can't really blame her. It wasn't just me that depends on that person, after all. I quietly walk back to the beanbag near her, where I sat before, being doubly careful not to make any unnecessary noises. The soft puff it gives as the beanbag takes my weight makes Hanako's eyes flick towards me, but only just for a second. I get the feeling that Hanako's been quiet only partially out of sadness following Lily's departure. Rather, She seems more thoughtful and measured than I expected, perhaps due to her desire of working out how to deal with Lily leaving rather than just being depressed over it. Makes me a little proud of her. Hey, Hanako,
Yeah,
still going ahead with your idea of traveling? She gives a determined nod.
I'll be starting in a day or two. Naomi's decided to come with me too.
Wow, quick start. Where are you two heading to first?
I think we're going to start by going north, then loop down and go southward.
So, Hokkaido, going to be first? She gives another nod, more attentive than the last. The significance of that place is not lost on either of us. Do you know how you're going to handle the traveling expenses and accommodations?
Yeah, I've worked everything out. I think it should be okay. Naomi says she has her side worked out too.
You know, that's if you need anything, you can just call, right? I gave you my number before. Any time of the day is fine. She gives a small smile, which in itself feels like a small personal victory.
I know. Thanks, Hisao.
Maybe Lily was right. Although I may offer Hanako any help I could possibly give, I feel as if I know she doesn't need it. She really has grown. Hanako plans for her holidays are in sharp contrast to my simple following of my parents' suggestion to stay with them. Holidays had always made me feel less excited than most, though, so maybe this is just a return to the status quo. Before my heart attack, I always lived so aimlessly that holidays weren't all that much different from my everyday life anyways. After school, I wandered around a bit in the city, often hanging out with some friends before making my way home to eat dinner with usually one of my parents, but rarely both. Their work schedule didn't leave much time for them to be home, and going there straight from school would just have meant I ended up feeling bored. I was an unpainted uh, through and through. Since coming to Yamaku, though, feels like I've fundamentally changed as a person. The phone call with my parents erased any traces of doubt I might have held on that in any case. Well, before I had exercised a fairly normal level of independence for a teenager, that being not a whole lot, my parents were more than pleased to hear my newfound ability in taking care of myself. Laundry, cooking for myself, cleaning, all in addition to the other general chores that come from living without parents around, just little menial things I had to pick up, but with relative ease. When I think about it, I always depend on them, even if they hadn't been at home all the time. To say I never depended on anyone after moving to Yamaku's dormitories would be far from the truth, though.
Um, excuse me.
The two of us looked up at an awkwardly fidgeting figure in front of us. Something never changes.
It's getting close to closing time, so,
Oh, right. I forgotten that the library closes early during the holidays. Hanako and I both get up and dust ourselves off, placing our books back on the shelf behind us. The fact that our taste in reading materials have a fair amount of overlap is useful at times. With a bow to Yuko to apologize for taking up so much time, Hanako takes her leave for us. Of us. Ugh.
See you tomorrow, Hisao.
Bye. And with that, she walks out of the large wooden aging door that hurdled, or yeah, hurdled the entrance to the library.
She's a quiet person, isn't she?
I suppose I should be surprised at the staff members sharing personal opinions like this, but after knowing Yuko for a while, it's largely expected. Our relationship is more personal rather than one of with her acting as a authority figure. Yeah, I think that's just how she is. She's got a lot more confidence in herself these days, though.
I don't know her as well as you do, but I think I agree. It's nice to see her talking to people here. She never used to do that before.
Hey, Yuko, you know about Lily's leaving, right?
She told me herself a few days ago. It must be hard leaving everyone behind like she is.
She quickly looks back to me after saying this, probably remembering that I went to her for advice on a relation on the relationship between Lily and me.
Are you going to be okay?
That's a difficult question. It's sometimes I'd rather not think about it for now, though, given more pressing issues, something seems kind of off about this whole deal, don't you think? Yuko appears to think for a while, absentmindedly scrunching her face in a variety of creative ways as she does so.
I don't think I really know her well enough to make that kind of judgment. I'm sorry I can't be more help.
Nah, it's fine. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I give a deep sigh and scratch my head in frustration. There's just so much stuff happening at once that I have no control over. It feels like I'm being swamped.
I think everyone goes through times like that. What's important is to concentrate on what you can do rather than what you can't do. At least that's how I see it. It's called trash can, not trash can't. If I didn't think like that, I don't think I'd be able to manage my life as it is.
I hate and love your dad jokes sometimes. She says it with a smile and a light tone, but her words are far from any kind of joke. Being pulled between two jobs as she does, just to hopefully make enough money not to only to live, but also for university, must be exhausting. Perhaps that's why, coming from her, this feeling feels like it has more meaning than if it had come from most others. I guess you got a point there. Thank you for the advice once again, Yuko. She deeply bows and smiles again, before making her way back to the counter where she spends so much of her time. The tiny wings of the cardboard crane and my fingers are only just visible in the dim light of my room. Just a little of moonlight being able to peek through the curtains and around their edges. I lie still in my dark bed for a long time, idly looking up at the little origami bird. It feels like a lot has happened since Lily folded this, but at the same time, it feels like very little has changed. Compared to everyone else, I'm back to square one. I might have found a newfound idea of where I want to go in life, but that's hardly something that affects me now. Hanako changed, I know that much. If anything, she just makes me feel like I got no excuse to be like this, considering her previous situation. Lily, though. I turned the bird in my fingers another way, looking at it from yet a different angle. When I first met her, she seemed aloof, and perhaps somewhat distant. Her actions were always careful, measured, and precise, and her carefully maintained composure always gave the appearance of earning confidence and sincerity. In time, she became less formal, just a bit, but enough. It felt good to see her lowering her ambitions around me and opening up, even just a little, of her own accord. It felt as if I was seeing her real self slowly become more vibrant as visible, or invisible. Now, though, I'm beginning to have doubts. Perhaps they're to be expected after what is effectively the two of us breaking up. They don't feel new or strange, though, but rather like an old book being found and dusted off. I soon realized after meeting Lily that she saw me as she did Hanako, as someone who needed help and care. At first, I simply thought that we'd be fine as friends, helping each other out through our limited time together in school. But then I began to treasure our moments together more and more. From our quiet walks to our talking over lunch, the good side of her personality became even more obvious and even more likable. The absence caused by Lily's trip to Scotland to visit her long distance family and sick aunt only made me realize how much I liked just being around her. I had thought that she felt a similar way. For her, though, maybe that wasn't everything to our relationship. Even after she returned to Japan, that just meant she lost her family once again, after meeting them for such a brief moment, or brief time. She lived so much of her life without her family around, not to mention with Akira working long hours, that she had little choice but to be like that. I had thought her sense of independence to be a good and admirable trait. It was in stark difference to my relay, relents on my parents before my heart attack, as reluctant as I may have been to admit it. However, it also meant that she never let people get too close to her. She lost her family likely due to her blindness, went to a different school from anybody she knew because of it, and worked all the harder to make sure she didn't end up a burden to her on her sister and those around her. And now, Akira is going to Inverness, just like the family she thought she lost. She never told me of her plans, as conflicted as she was about them. Lily didn't want it to be a burden on anyone, including me. I'm an idiot. I never questioned it. I never tried to be there or asked when she needed me to. I just set my life up and expected it to stay that way forever. With the two of us having a nice long relationship where we pushed forward towards our future together. A small pit of frustration and anger at myself welled up in my chest. I just let everything happen. Never even tried to help Lily. Just here, just her being there was enough. I thought I could keep going on if that were true, but that could never have been enough. It was like a childlike dependency on somebody without any attempts to understand or help their situation. Thanks to that, I lost Lily. I lost the one person I loved the most. I wasn't there for her when she needed me. With an increasingly angry feeling washing over me, I turned over and set my crane back on the desk next to the clock, the place where it has lived since the day when she folded it for me. Since the day when she herself said that my burdens needn't be my own. The obnoxious bright red numerals of my alarm clock shine through the darkness of the room onto my tired eyes. 10 o'clock evening. Curfew will be soon. I wonder. Akira mentioned that they'd be leaving this evening. I had no idea exactly when their flight is, but that means there's a chance, however small, that may that they might not have already left. Adrenaline starts to move through my body as I sit up on my bed, my eyes suddenly wide as with possibility. There's no guarantee they haven't left. Indeed, it's likely that they already have, but there's also a chance they haven't. However small it may be, just this once, just as I should have before. I stand up and rush over to my cabinet, throwing over some clothes as fast as I can and sliding them on in quick succession. Each second that goes by is a second that I can't regain. A second that may mean the difference between catching them and losing them forever. Even if I fail, I have to try. I can't let her leave everything behind without even trying to stop her. Without just this once being there for her. With the last of my clothes slipped on, I hesitantly grabbed the phone off of my desk. Luckily, the number for a local taxi company is still in my call history. A gruff, unenthusiastic voice announces the name of the company while I pace around the room. It takes some effort to slow down my voice and keep it clear over the phone. The chilly night air sweeps against me as I open the dormitory door. But nevertheless, I keep my brisk speed as I half jog, half run out to the school gates. It may not be curfew just yet, but it's precise or precariously close. If there were a guard around, they no doubt have some questions for me. But it looks like I've managed to come out just before they arrive. Or they're around a corner. My pace picks up as I make my way through the school garden, their nighttime allure all but lost when I begin to run to the school gates. The lamps of the courtyard, dim as they are, provide just enough illumination to light the way and prevent me from tripping over. The buildings themselves take a rustic, almost antique looking edge when I glance at them. Looking back, it seems strange that they once appeared so dark, blooming to me. Now they just look to be somewhat an anachronistic school buildings, the same as any other bar their age. Leaving the gates behind me, I pull up to the stop just before the taxi, parked just as Akira's car had been. Its it grud, it grudgy, its grudgy and bright lit sign looks out of the place in a quiet country backdrop. I impatiently squeeze myself through the door, giving the driver the address for where the two should hopefully be staying. By the time the taxi pulls up, after its trip at maddeningly casual speed, it's well and truly deep into the night. The house is truly enormous. Its sheer size, much larger than I expected, and ominously still, fearing the worst, as the driver ask the driver to stay just in case my efforts are for naught. A single press on the fancy intercom system outside the gate produces a short electronic melody in an otherwise silent road. It's not long before a somewhat deep, gruff voice can be heard from it. This is the Hakamachi's residence. Please state your name and why you're bothering us this late. I press on despite inwardly wincing at the reasonable annoyance audible in his voice. It's Hasao Nakai. I was hoping to meet Lilly or Kira if they're still here. Surprisingly, I managed to summon quite some energy to my voice, enough to make the other side of the intercom silent. A few seconds pass, but just before I press the button again and asked what's going on, the light turned on outside of the front door. I strain my eyes to try and make out who's coming through, but as he comes passing a large car parked with fishing rods sticking out the back, his identity becomes clear. His face is typically placid and emotionless as he saunters up to the gate. He's still childlike in his mannerism, despite his demeanor. With the press of a few buttons from behind the fence, the gate slowly opens. Isao, what are you doing here? I think this is the most emotion I've ever heard from his voice. Not that it would be hard to reach that mark. Akira told me that she and Lily would be staying here before they left for their flight. I need to talk to Lily. Just one last time. Are they still here? The look on his face says everything. I failed. I was too late. The one time when I actually needed to act quickly. And... Actually, it's possible. What? What is? He's a bit taken aback by my fervor, but I can't help it at this point. They left not too long ago. Only a few minutes before you arrived. In fact, if you go straight to the airport, you might be able to... Isao? I darted back towards the waiting taxi, grabbed what little money is left in my pocket as I go. Thanks, Hiraki. With that, I take a seat and, in a short order, bark out my destination. My chest beating wildly as I tear down the streets, my body twisting this way and that to slip between the pedestrians walking back and forth beside me. With the road solidly blocked by the taxi and other cars dropping off passengers and picking up others in time they have to wait, we ended up having to stop almost a block away. But that's in the past now. What matters is reaching Lily. One foot hits the ground. The other quickly follows without the slightest thought, as if my legs have taken on a life of their own, and all my mind can do is concentrate on the view ahead of me. Just one glimpse of that long hair of hers. That long, yellow hair that was the same color as the wheat that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the end, I depend on Lily, just like Hanako did. Even after we started going out, it still doesn't feel like she really ever let herself depend on me. Except for one moment. The one moment where were held in each other tightly on that bright yellow field. At the time, she must have feared losing me, just as she did everyone else. That's why, just this once, the night air wraps around me, draining every last remnant of warmth out of my body, to an extent that it feels more like midwinter than a summer night. My fingers, my hands, my feet, they all feel incredibly cold. The sound of passing crowds is reduced to no more than a background hum, while the sound of my shoes hitting the pavement echo loudly, every step surging towards the person I have to catch. Forced by my chest tightening in response to the cold, of the night, I rest my arms over it to try and settle it down. When the airport comes into view, though I realize this feeling as one I felt before. Not now. Of all the times for this, please, not now. I take a gulp and soldier on regardlessly, pushing my body as far as it will go. Sweat pours off of me as I hurtled forward, my shoulders hitting someone aside, my mind suddenly flooding with emotions and memories. I continue on without an apology. I have to keep moving now. If I stop, I'm not sure I could begin again. And even if I could, it would all be for naught if I'm not in time. I hit another person, then another, offering little resistance to getting bounced about. My feet feeling numb. My arms are losing all feeling. My chest forces me to hunch over awkwardly, tightening even more. That afternoon in the snow, the time when my life irreversibly changed, images of Iwanako and that damned letter flashed over and over in my mind. The first love that I lost thanks to my condition. I can't let that happen again. I don't care what happens to me anymore. I just need to see her one last time. There! A silver of yellow and white come into view, some distance down the road. Her figure silhouette by the light emitting from the airport entrance. Lilly! Lilly! Lilly, please stop! Lilly! Come on, Lilly. I know you're hearing far beyond Gah! My view suddenly spins out of control and end up on the ground. My body haphazardly sprawled after hitting someone and stumbling over. Before I can assess the damage, an unbelievable pain ignites in my body. All my thoughts are blanked as I curl up and frantically clutch on at my chest. Hey, are you okay? That was really bad fall. This pain. I can't. Uh, uh. Any sharp knock could do me in. Any overexertion, I thought. I could overcome my limits this once. Something's wrong with him. What's the matter? The voices of those gathering around me are gradually replaced by a louder ring in my ears. By now I'm unable to move my head. My eyes turn upward to see the mute movings of their lips. Even as I clutch my chest, I realize I can't feel my fingers anymore, nor my feet. It feels like my entire body is shutting down, starting from my exertions. With one last effort, I turn my head down the road towards the airport entrance, that casting its light over me. Lilly is there, behind the crowd. Her head is tilted, but only just slightly. I can feel my vision dimming as I try to yell out, but nothing emerges from my mouth, despite my best efforts. Slowly but surely, my vision begins to blacken out the scene before me. So, this is how it ends. I failed. I was so close. So very close. But at the very last moment, the condition seized my chance at a new life and dragged me back. Now I'm going to die. Sprawled out just meters from the airport, with a crowd of babbling people surrounding me, and with Lilly leaving for Scotland to just a little distance ahead. Lee, that last word extinguishes the last of my energy. The world falls into a deep, inescapable blackness as every muscle in my body shuts down. I'm sorry, Lily. I was too late.
Don't you transition like that isn't the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I'm honestly tearing up a lot.
Aw. I can kinda tell in your voice. I wanted to be like, "Are you okay?"
No. I'm not
Oh.
okay! Fuck, man. Oh, fucking, the tears were falling so much.
Oh,
What's going on? As I slowly open my eyes, a bright white light assaults my retinas. For a moment, I just lay where I am, mindlessly staring ahead, while my scattered thoughts reconcile in my slow waking mind. Slowly but surely, the white begins to come into focus, as a bare expanse begins to be drawn across my field of vision. It's only when the light fixture comes into view that my mind clicks that this is the ceiling above me. Slowly levering myself up, I silently absorb through all my senses the details of the room I'm in. The smell and taste of strong bleach hangs in the air, then leading the impression of the place just slightly too clean to be natural. And inoffensive pale peach colored walls, all perfectly painted without a crack, stain, or imperfection. A single framed painting hanging on the wall, perfectly straightened, like the walls. Uh, it's as boring and inoffensive as can be. My attention's grabbed by the translucent curtain waving across my vision, my eyes following it to the open window it covers. When I move my right arm to try to lift myself up and look through it, I feel the ca- Catherine, Cather, catheter? I don't fucking know.
Catheter.
Catheter. Okay, so I somewhat almost got it on note.
almost, yeah.
Dig uncomfortably. It only now, too, that I notice the cannula tubes winding around my cheeks and into my nose. After some fidgeting, I settled for just looking around the corner of the window. Beyond the thick leaves of several large trees, I could see the greenery below, back, backing out onto the field. A customary in, island of green on the outskirts of the city. Judging by the sun outside, it's noon. Of which day, though, I'm not sure. So, I'm in a hospital once again. I let out a long, tired breath as I try to collect my scattered thoughts, my mind seemingly cast in a dozen directions all at once, with as many emotions running through me. After slowly laying back down, I decided to start at the beginning. Why am I here? I cast my mind back, but I can't work out a smooth recollection of what happened. The event of last night. Oh, whichever night it was, comes back more as a series of snapshots than any cohesive memory. Lying on my bed, looking at the origami bird, talking to Hidaki outside of the Hakamichi's residence, running down the street, passing pedestrians and bumping into more and more of them, falling. Looking up at the searly bright airport entrance, seeing Lily's back as I lay on the ground. The silence of the private room suddenly feels overwhelming. So that's it. I had my chance to correct my mistake, and I blew it. Well, I was at fault for neglecting my medication and disregarding to pace myself, or my body was giving out so soon. It doesn't matter now. All that matters is that, once again, I'm alone. The pastel blue pillow yields the little resistance as I let myself fall back onto the bed. Its starchy case, along with the starchy sheets, provide little comfort. Compared to the darkness of last night's event, the bright light of the room around me is striking. All it does, though, is emphasize how otherworldly place like this are. Well, who the hell plays Katawa Shoujo in 2023? Me, the sad little fucking baby slime. I'm fucking crying. Leave me alone, Kimberly. I'm fucking in tears right now. Jesus.
Damn, calling you out in the year of our Lord 2023.
Oh, fuck 2023. Arrhythmia. A strange word. A foreign, alien one. One that I don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically, and occasionally beats way too fast. It can be fatal. It was a miracle that you were able to go so long without anything happening, they said. And then it did. My condition had taken away everything. My old school wasn't of no importance anymore. My home was reduced to a faraway place. Both my friends and my first love simply stopped visiting after a length of time. Where did that sub go? I don't fucking know. What do you mean? I became chronically and embittered, distant and subdued. In my defense, no person could have avoided that after such a thing happened to them. But nonetheless, I left the hospital as a very definitely changed person. Also, thank you for the hydrate. I need that.
Yeah, you're crying too much. You need to hydrate.
I'm crying. Fuck. I'm so emotional, okay? My makeup's getting all ruined. And I don't even think the only would be wanting to go on a date with how ugly I look.
I was drinking tea when you said that. I almost spit out my tea.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Things changed. I made new friends in Hanako, Shizune, and Misha. I found a new sense of home in my dormitory and an interest in science and the world around me. And I found a direction to my life that I had never felt before. But I also discovered other things. A sense of isolation in Yamaku and its surrounds was not entirely unwelcomed. The quiet giving a peace of mind I might not have found elsewhere, but it gave the area a feeling of being pushed out of the way, of being kept out of sight. People on the streets would sometimes glance awkwardly, but quickly turn their heads as they realized they were staring. Even in my condition was invisible, my uniform was. Even if it weren't, was still different. I took 17 pills a day, morning, midday, and night. My scar, though hidden behind clothing, was still a permanent mark of my condition. And most of all, there was the very real possibility of death. A bad fall, an absent-minded hard hit on the back, a simple sprint taken too far. Anything could have set my heart off. And several times I teetered on that edge of the abyss, even with all the care I took of myself. But that was fine. I could have lived with all that. Because there was one final thing I found, or rather, refound, after entering Yamaku, which was once again snatched away before my eyes. It was only now that I realized just how delicate my newfound sense of happiness was. Everything depended on her. The linchpin of my life since I first entered Yamaku, as a sullen and confused and aimless transfer student. Lilly Satao was the one person I could depend above all upon depend upon above all others, and who reciprocated the love that I felt for her. But I failed, and only realizing it all too late. I thought that I could have just set my life up and continued that way forever. But the real world doesn't work like that. I finally realized the meaning of those words, only to be struck down as I confronted my failure to do so in time. Rap God, I hate you, Kimberly. God damn it! I hate you. This is supposed to be sad, and you're over here by doing rap God things. The surroundings I'm in now are too familiar. It's as if Yamaku was but a dream, and I'm still recovering from my first major heart attack. Maybe that's why I feel so tired. It feels almost as if I lived the entire last few months of my life in the space of minutes. The weight of my eyelids close. My physical and mental exhaustion letting me offer no resistance. Oh my lord. Unintelligible mumbling from ahead of the door stirs me out of my sleep. My eyelids still closed, I could focus on and make out presumably a nurse, bidding farewell to a doctor. As I open my eyes, I notice the door closing from my peripheral vision. The doctor stands reading some notes off the clipboard held in his hand, carefully looking over the pages. After consulting his obviously very important documents, he looks up and notices my gaze. It's now that I notice something slightly odd about his expression and general disposition, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Ah, I see you're awake, Nakai. His quick glance to my bed ends. To verify my name, shows that his document obviously didn't have it written on them. I must admit that this is a bit unfortunate. Your parents visited just earlier while you were asleep. I can notify them you're awake now, if you like. Thanks. That would be good. Give a somewhat dazed reply, most likely the one he expected, before really thinking about what I'm saying. Not a problem. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer them. That is, unless you prefer to rest. The anesthetic still going to be affecting you a bit, I'm afraid. The anesthetic, of course. That'd be why I feel so strange the first time I woke up. I slowly shake my head, not wanting to dislodge any pipes or cause myself any more discomfort than necessary. The doctor politely puts down his keyboard or clipboard in response. I guess my main question is, what exactly happened? To put it simply, you unfortunately had another heart attack. While not as severe as your first, you were lucky. You were very lucky it occurred so close to a hospital. After being stabilized, you were taken to the operating room. What followed was keyhole surgery in order to insert a temporary pacemaker. All in all, the incident happened 2 days ago, with emergency treatment being carried out very soon after. Since then, we kept you under close observation while you were asleep. Will I be alright? Are there any lasting problems? Compared to the procedure carried out for your first heart attack, this was relatively minor. While you will have to undergo surgery once more in a few days, time to remove the pacemaker. Assuming are no complications, there should be no lasting implications. Continues talking, subject shifting to a repetition of facts about arrhythmia and my medication that I always know for the most part. I start to nod and strain interest while my mind drifts. I begin to think about how perfectly hung the impressive painting hanging on the wall behind his shoulders is, and how neat and Sterling, I don't know, the surroundings are, even including the doctor himself. If my mumblings bores you, you are quite welcome to say so. Mr. Nakai, Lord knows, I lost track of myself sometimes. He gives a short chuckle at his self-deprecating joke, as I grimace awkwardly, having been rather badly caught out. The doctor's chuckle sounds different from that of the nurse at Yamaku, though. Come to think of it, as I ponder why, I realize why the man in front of me feels just that little bit off. His smile is neat and sterile. He delivers his jokes perfectly with a customary inoffensive chuckle. It is like, rather than talking to the man whose name is neatly printed on the name tag pin to his lab coat, I'm merely interacting with an actor reading off a pre-rehearsed script. Every action having been choreographed beforehand. I suppose he has to be this way, though, being a doctor and all. He has to keep his neat and sterile smile when chatting to the girl with cancer slowly spreading through her body, when reassuring the woman who surely died from childbirth, and with every other dramatically and critically ill patient. That little bit of distance, that little bit of aloofness. It makes me wonder if I've been too harsh, especially considering it's a disposition far from being adopted only by people in his profession. After all, the one I loved kept the same distance from others herself. Looking up to the doctor again, I realized I've been in thought with my head bowed, bowed, bowed for some time. I understand you must still be tired. You've been through a lot. And as I mentioned before, the anesthetic will still be affecting you. If you don't mind, I'll let you get some rest and tell your parents you've woken up for you. I think that would be great. Thank you. He gives a curt nod before picking up his clipboard and making his way to the large white door in the corner of the room, closing it behind him with a thud. In the end, I'm alone again. Lily's gone, Akira's gone, Hanako would be traveling, and even my parents have already left the hospital. Four pale peach walls, one white ceiling, and a single open window to look out towards the world outside. It's hard to think of the future when the past is crowded around you. Catastrophic in its neat, sterile, starchy bleach smell grip. Lost in Lost for what to do or focus on, I content myself with sleeping the time away, as if this were all just another dream like Yamaku had been. White. A sterile, clean white for a sterile, clean room. Also, I'm just gonna do this for myself because I'm fucking pretty sure I'm mispronouncing this.
What? Sterile?
I think I think I'm just pronouncing it wrong. Uh,
Sterile.
it is okay. I'm fucking just pronouncing it wrong. I hate myself.
Yeah. You're good.
My eyes open, and I simply stare at the ceiling for some time. It's about as interesting as the television would be, mounted in its metal rack, hanging of the ceiling ahead of the bed. Indeed, the television saw its entire use during the time my parents were here, left on left on quietly as they waited for me to wake. It was about as banal as it had been for the first time I ended up in the hospital. Earlier today, an attendant nurse had offered to turn off the EKG speakers. I refused simply because the sound is so entirely normal to me now. It's almost comforting in a way. The monochrome like regularity gives at least some feeling that time is moving, even in a place such as this. After some time of listening to it, it beeps while I fully awake, though I realize there's another sound in the room. Concentrating all my efforts on listening, a task made rather easy than by the lack of distractions, a tiny, teeny melody can be heard, light and quiet. The music sounds almost fragile, as if dwarfed by the EKG's pulse. Tilting my head just slightly to the side, in an effort to see the source of the melody without dislodging any of the sensors and pipes stuck into me or onto me. I noticed a little wooden box sitting on the nightstand next to the bed. My mouth opens just slightly while I watch the tiny yellow metal drum slowly rotate inside, the little bumps on the surface gradually moving in and out of sight. This music box, it's the one I gave. The creaking of the door breaks me out of my reveries, my head and my heart remaining still as my eyes turn to see who comes through. Long tan skirt, peach off the shoulders sweater, pale, almost porcelain skin, blue clouded eyes, and long, yellow hair. All I can do is stare as Lily slowly walked into the room, her fingers lightly running over the walls from orientation, and my mind comes to a shuddering halt. Lily? She stops mid stride. Her entire body tenses.
So, was that you?
Her voice is quiet and pensive, echoing her expressions. I thought you were. Lily takes one attentive step forward, then another, as if she were holding herself back. Her control over her composure is for naught, though, and she finally rushes over to where I lay, as the last of her resistance falls. I'm slightly taken aback when she grabs a hold of me, hunching over as tears begin falling to fall from her cheeks. Since only minutes ago I thought she was on the other side of the world. After a moment of hesitation, I rest my right hand on her soft shoulder.
No. Hisao!
Lily's body trembles as her tears blot the pale green sheets, her emotions flooding through her carefully maintained exterior. With her face now closer, and made easier to see for her pale skin being lit by the sunlight from the window, I notice her cheeks being redder than they should be. It's okay, Lily. I'm okay. You don't need to. She rights herself quickly, her crying forcefully stifled, with both sadness and stubbornness remaining in her moistened eyes. Her prideful nature, always having been something to contend with, takes me off guard.
Stop telling me not to worry about you, Hisao. Just this once, let me cry.
I'm caught speechless. She waits for a response, but her composure breaks again. After a handful of seconds, I swallow hard to try and settle my own emotions. While she weeps onto my bed, a strange mixture of relief and depression welling up. Lily's here. She's really here. If I couldn't feel her skin under my hand, I'd hardly believe my own eyes. My efforts weren't for nothing. My body attempts to take away everything that was important to me, once again, has been foiled. But now, I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. Seeing her here, crying like this over me, this is one thing I wanted to avoid since coming to love her. No, ever since leaving the hospital. I'm sorry, Lily. It's my fault I'm here. I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. I gave a self deprecated snort. After months of keeping myself together so nobody would worry over me, I went and did something like this. I guess I'm pretty dumb. With a couple of sniffs and a long breath, Lily manages to pull herself together and calm down a little. Despite her red cheeks, moist eyes, and the lines of her tears still visible, she delicately wears the weak smile she seemed to so often give.
You needn't blame yourself. I heard later that it happened as you were running down the road after me, right?
Still, she wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, returning more to her old self as the rush of emotions wears off.
Why did you run after me, Hisao?
I move to response, but notice her face tightening.
Even after I'd said goodbye and I'd left Yamaku Academy.
She takes a moment to steady herself, her emotions almost bubbling up once again. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry.
Sorry.
For the times when I wasn't there when you needed me. Until now, I thought you just being there would be enough. I only needed you by my side to make any day feel better. Even if my body may be like this, I want I want to help you, Lily. To be there when you needed someone.
But you always were there, Hisao.
Why did you want to go to Scotland, Lily?
Why? I told you before. Because Akira was going, and because of my family's summons to their home.
Why didn't you say that you wanted to go? Or you didn't why didn't you say that you wanted to go?
I.
I'm not stubborn often, but this one time I think I need to be. I want you to stay here, Lily. I want you to stay where everyone you know lives and where all your dreams and your ambitions were made. If you choose to stay, I'll never leave your side. I won't let you lose another person. When I had my heart attack, I was snatched away from everyone and everywhere I knew. You shown me a new life after I came to Yamaku. I lost my past, but you shown me a future. It's true that I haven't always been there for you. I'm unreliable. Sometimes I lied and I thought I'd come to understand you when I hadn't even understood myself. Be that as it may, I want to give you a future as well. I wanted to be there for you, to share both your burdens and your happiness, just like I promised back in Hokkaido. I want you to trust me. I know I had problems coming to put my trust in you after losing so many people I'd known after my heart attack. But that's how I know being unable to trust others can feel awful. That's why I can't watch you just throw everything away like this. I never wanted you to go through I did. I would do anything to stop that.
You can be quite steadfast when you want to be, can't you?
As I said, it isn't often. My weak smile drops, though, as the IV in my arm digs a little, its harsh reminder of my tether to my condition. Lily's face tenses as I let out a small gasp of pain, immediately making me wish I had stifled it better. All I can do is sigh in defeat. I tried to not let anyone worry over me for the entire time since I left the hospital, but I can't even stop the one person I love most from crying over me. Even if I might finally be able to put my feelings into words, I feel pretty useless with a body like this. Every time I try to reach towards something, it was just snatched away. And even now, things only turned out for the better due to luck. I guess that's something else I should apologize for. All I can ever do is make you worry. Even now, there's a little chance I could live anywhere near a full life. The feeling of Lily's warm, soft hands moving over my left cheek make, makes me lift my head up. Her smile gentle and warm as she touches me.
I think that is something very natural for you to say. You were always so sincere and self conscious. You were also reserved and mild mannered, and patient to a fault with Hanako, yet curious about everything and everyone. When I said I missed you while I was with my family, I wasn't lying or exaggerating. The thought of you was never far from my mind, and helped me through that time. That's why I was so confused about what to do when my family summoned me. Even after I thought I had made my decision, you tried your hardest to challenge me about it. I didn't confess to you out of pity or believing you were somehow different from what you are. I confessed because I never want to lose you and want you to always be a part of my life, no matter what might change. You're a very beautiful person, Hisao. Your heart changes none of that, so please don't apologize for yourself anymore.
For a long time, silence reigns in the room. I'm not sure what this newly born feeling inside of me is, but it's pale into insignificance as I wordlessly gaze at Lily's smiling face, warm and gentle as it will always had been. It's only as her thumb crosses my cheek, wiping away a single drop of moisture, that I realize this is all I have ever wanted. For it feels like the first time I give an earnest and wide smile. As Lily feels it against her palm, she returns the gesture. More time passes before either of us says a word, neither of us needing speech to communicate our feelings to each other. I know I can't promise you that I'll always be around, or that we'll be together forever. With some difficulty, I slowly lift my hand, placing it on her pale shoulder. But I think I can at least take you to your next Tana- Tanabata festival to make up for making you miss this year's. Lia's expression is one of surprise, though I can't say I blame her.
You remembered that.
I've got a pretty good memory sometimes. She raises her head a little and takes her hand from her cheek, giving a small, amused giggle. I smile absent-mindedly at how earnest it is, almost girlish in its lightness. Still smiling warmly, she collects herself and stands upright with her hand resting on my chest. It feels like I'm seeing her for the first time, the sun from the window glowing behind her, just as it did when I first walked into the room where she was drinking tea.
Very well then. Shall we make it a promise between the both of us to go to next year's Tanabata together?
And if she can't see me doing so, not approvingly. I promise.
I promise.
And there we go. That's it.
No, that's it.
Oh my lord.
Ah!
Oh my heart. They do like a little whole thing, like a art showcase of like Lily and everything.
Aw.
And also the evolution of her, because the previous one she had a green coat on. Oh my lord. My eyes, bro. Oh, never felt so fucking watery in a while.
I could tell in your voice. I was like, oh, so emotional.
It was. Hey Slime. Hey Astral. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you are feeling better, Slime. About to fall asleep. See you guys tomorrow morning. Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Just a bit emotional here with like the ending of Lily's route, which is almost done. We just got the conclusion left. Akira, Lily, and I silently sit on the grassy embankment high above the local town, the breeze gently blowing through the cloudless sky. We may be just a few minute walk from town, on the hill just outside its limit, but the view is entirely unexpected. Lily sits beside me, her eyes closed, as the gentle breeze flows through her hair.
This is a nice area.
Yeah, I never knew a place like this was anywhere near Yamaku.
Glad to be the one to find it, of course.
Akira's grin is genuine, and her tone is slightly different from her usual carefree nature.
It's good that you're out of the hospital, though, Hisao.
Nobody's more glad than I am. I can't stand hospitals.
So you two going back to the school tomorrow?
Yep.
Yeah.
Akira chuckles in amusement before looking back out to the town below. The trees between the buildings sway in the wind. Pity we couldn't go up north for the summer holidays, or get to Tanabata.
I wouldn't worry. There's always next time.
You'll be graduating before the next summer vacation, won't you?
Yeah. There'll still be college after that, mind.
Going to the same one?
Likely, we both have high enough scores to meet the entry requirements.
You sound so sure.
Don't worry, you're better than I in most subjects.
I guess we'll work it out in due time.
That's the way. Just enjoy yourselves in Yamaku while you're there.
Lily gives a sad sigh at the the distinction made between Akira and the two of us.
Do you really need to go back to Scotland?
Yeah, the books are already out for my blood as it is.
The Russian mafia! You weren't meant to stay this long? She gives her trademark wide grin.
Setting my boyfriend up with a passport took some time.
Ayo! So they're not breaking up after all? Let's go. You're taking him with you?
Just for a while at first. He's a surprisingly worldly guy, so I think he'll do just fine.
Akira gives an amused snort.
If our father had his way, I'd have gone a long while ago. I just couldn't pass up an excuse to stay with my favorite little sister a little while longer, though.
She leans right and gives Lily a tight, playful hug, cheering her up considerably.
It's nice to be with you one last time, though.
For what it's worth, I'm in the same boat.
Thanks, you too. I'll try and come back sometime, don't worry.
It's a shame that the business keeps you so busy.
The place won't run itself, I'm afraid, and I think it's going to be just the same over there. Considering that, I better get going.
Have fun over there, Akira.
Haha, will do.
With a slight grunt, she lifts herself with her hand and stands up, dusting herself off as she does so.
Well, I better be off. Plane won't wait for me after all.
She has a certain unusual witfulness in her tone of her voice. her eyes firmly planted on her sister.
I'll be okay, Akira.
Yeah, I know.
Come now, it isn't that bad. You'll be able to see us again soon.
It is it is strange to have Lily reassuring a doubting Akira for once. She really has changed.
Goodbye, Akira.
Bye. For a second, the dark clad figure looks down at the both of us, smiling widely, perhaps more widely than I've ever seen her do so or do before. She lets out a long, slightly waving breath to steady herself before leaving, but eventually slips her hand in her pockets and turns on her heels. And with that, she walks away, one hand held in the air as she goes.
See you later, you two.
A jazz tune with no beat, melody, or direction to the very end. After a few moments of sitting silently, Lily and I pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. Turning towards her with a broad smile, I hold my hand out. I hold out my hand. Shall we be off then? She takes my hand in hers with a gentle nod and a smile as beautiful and as warm as ever.
Indeed we shall, Hisao.
As we set off towards the school, that wonderful smile engraves itself onto my memory. The wonderful smile that we both share. Our paths may be scattered and at times overshadowed by sadness, but they are also an ir- ir- irrev- God, I cannot. Arrow vocable I cannot fucking pronounce. God damn it, it's literally the end. Fuck.
You're irrevocable.
Irrevocable. Fuck. I can. Why did I struggle with it? Fuck my life. Part of our lives and personalities. Even if I could change a single thing, I wouldn't. Because my past was what led me here. That's why, even with all that's happened to us before, and all that may well befall us, together, we'll keep walking forward. Forwards towards the future, our future. And that's it. Uh, Now, to those who are still hanging around and being like, "Well, that's it, right? Katawa's dead. It's fucking dead. We're not getting Kenji back. We're not gonna see the other girls. This series sucks." It is not true. It is not true. Sure, yes, we finished up Lily's route, and got the good ending for it. But that is not all there is to it. We're not ending it just on Lily's route. Because in all honesty, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are curious on how the other girls are. And Kenji. So, this won't be the end of both me and Ash doing Katawa Shoujo. Matter of fact, we are getting two newcomers into the series who will also be doing some voice acting for some characters.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, trust me, I am too, and I can inform them as of right now since the series, or the whole thing with Lily's route has been done and dusted. Um, but for those who are curious, we'll be getting in the wonderful Coral, who is a wonderful mermaid that we both know. Well, I mean, she doesn't really know much of Ash, which is funny. I love
Wait,
that.
Coral?
Yes, because remember when she did her like anime cast thing?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know
Yeah, we
much
haven't
about you.
yeah, we haven't interacted too much.
Well, that will change.
Yeah.
And another person who will be joining alongside with us is Dusa Greco, who is a wonderful Medusa
She's a
like
she's a
snake girl.
Gorgon.
Yeah, she's a Gorgon. She's wonderful. She's great. And I can't wait for more stuff with her because apparently we're also going to be doing something else that it's going to be somewhat hard to fit in just because of the fact that she streams late, like really late. I think most of her time will reach to like 1 in the morning when she starts streaming.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna have to try to discuss that over with her, if
Yeah.
possible. But yeah, let's go find someone to raid. You know, someone to show
Yeah.
all of this love and appreciation, and not to mention, let's put the raid message in before anything. Which these will be the emotes I will be using. You could use whatever emotes you prefer. I use these emotes to show support to the people who we will raid. Got
Let's
anyone
see.
for recommend?
Uh, Let me see. Anybody playing something cool? The only friends I have on right now are Minnie and Naren.
Those are the only people?
uh, of like my immediate friends, all the other people like I don't actually know, or they're
Hmm.
playing something that's wildly different.
Hmm. Looking forward to it, and thanks for the chill stream and unwanted feels. You two. I mean, you're welcome, Lock On. Also, I think I have someone who can raid,
Okay.
which, you know, it's been a while since I've rated them, and, you know, they've rated you from time to time.
Ooh.
So, I'm going to put in the raid.
Who it is, who it is, who it is.
We're going to be raiding Patch.
Beanie!
Yee. We're going to be raiding her since she's playing some Warframe. And, you know,
Yeah.
just
I love Beanie.
continue the good vibes all around. But
Yeah.
what do you have planned for tomorrow?
I have a Honkai stream in the morning, 7 a.m. Central.
Mm-hmm. And I will 100% this time. We're not. I'm not like canceling it off this time for any other means because of like shit being going on and all that. But
Hmm.
100%, me and Bo are gonna bring the Terraria team back together and continue off there.
Yeah.
Let's just hope I don't fucking fall asleep again and fucking miss it. I'm literally gonna like today is not going to get out of me. Like, sure, yes, that was like partially the other reason why I was a bit down in the moods there, but look, I'm not gonna let it get. I'm not gonna let it get a second win on me. But
set,
anyways,
set yourself like 6 alarms.
I will. But anyways, this slime hopes you have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon time zones wherever you're at. Along with the Oni here, we both love and appreciate you guys stopping by to watch us do silly fucking visual novel game. But you know, we'll be back next time with it. I promise.
Bye.
Bye.